and welcome back to Seniorities. I am Linda Hayes, Director of the Senior Center and Council on Aging in Scituate. I'm here again with J.D. Miller, our Council on Aging Board Chairperson, and also our guest and topic for today, Laura Menier. Laura is Manager of Social Services for the Town of Scituate, dealing primarily with the needs of elders at risk for the Council on Aging, which is a critical role, and one we are so happy that she has filled for us. She does also serve with the health department in her role as social worker, and many other departments in town benefit from her role. So happy to have you here today, Laura.
Thank you.
And JD, also thank you.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thanks.
So we want to turn this over to you, Laura.
Okay.
Why don't you start by just telling people what Manager of Social Services is doing?
Sure.
Or does.
Sure. So in my role as Manager of Social Services for the Town of Scituate, I serve two primary populations. So I serve folks who are over 60, who wouldn't necessarily be served by the Senior Center because for one reason or another they don't have access to the Senior Center. Hopefully we can get them, support them in getting access to the Senior Center. And I also work with adults who are anywhere from post-school on up to age 60. So I cover folks who aren't otherwise covered by the school.
And covered by the school, well, in what way?
Yeah. So really the role is to make sure that residents of the Town of Scituate have access to various social services and resources. So it's my job to meet with individuals, assess to see what their needs are, what they're interested in getting help with, and see if we can match them with services that are offered locally and statewide.
So I used the term already. How do we or you define at-risk seniors in your role?
Yeah. So typically the referrals come from either the individual themselves, somebody who has a need and doesn't know how to access a particular service or resource, or I'll get referrals.
So can I even interrupt right there?
Sure.
How does someone even know that this exists? Like, besides everyone watching Seniorities now.
Yep.
How does someone even know that these services, that you're out there?
Yeah. It's a good question. I mean, I think we've tried to, do various programs to make sure that people know that I'm available. I work with various town departments, and when there's intersection with other town departments.
So their ear is to the ground in their areas that loops to you.
Yep.
She does, she's included periodically in our newsletter. She will write an article, and we do include her, of course, in our staff and as one of the roles.
Right. Yeah, so typically a referral will come in, and if it's somebody calling for themselves, it's usually pretty easy. They give me a call, we'll set up a meeting time, and we'll go from there. More often than not, though, my referrals will come from family, neighbors, council on aging, health department, police department. So in those cases, it's a bit more of a process where I will reach out to the individual, let them know I got the referral, and then the individual has to decide if they'd like to meet with me or not.
I was going to say, sometimes those referrals might say, I don't want you.
Thank you, but no thank you.
Right.
Yeah. So, and I do get that. In fact, I had a referral from another town department where there was a family who experienced a personal tragedy. I called them to follow up to see if I could help in any way, offer any services. I got the thank you, but no thank you. And actually a year, almost to the day later, they called back and said, you know what, I actually do want to connect with some services. So I think just knowing that this is available is helpful for folks. So then once somebody is willing to meet with me, we usually either set up an appointment at my office or at their house, depending on what they prefer. And I'll do an intake and an assessment, and that's really where the at-risk piece comes in, to speak to your question. So determining if somebody is at risk is really trying to sort out a balance between protective factors and risk factors. So we all live with various risk factors, whether it's health, mental health, cognitive impairments. We take the bulk of all the things going on in somebody's life, and we look at protective factors like, is family involved? Do they have a close support network?
Sure.
Are they active in a faith community? So all of those things kind of balance out to help.
Or are they isolated?
Right. Are they isolated? So it's all those factors that we sort of figure out if somebody is considered sort of at risk. And from there are times where I will connect with South Shore Elder Services and Adult Protective Services, but that's usually when we have some pretty serious concerns
Yep,
for the
okay.
safety of somebody.
So you're not really doing a medical assessment, correct?
But I'm doing
But you are
a
doing
psychosocial assessment.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
Right, which
Correct.
is sort of just a conversation, but trying to figure out if those answers make sense.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's really driven by the individual and what their goals are and what their hopes are, and what needs stem from that. So if somebody is coming to the realization that it's getting difficult for them to stay at home, it's not just a process of getting them the resources, but it's also about helping them cope with this loss that maybe it's a house they've been in for 40 years,
Right.
50 years. So it's about supporting somebody through not just the concrete needs, but also the emotional support and those kind of things that come up. And that goes along for family as well. So, I think it can be really difficult for family members, especially primary caregivers. I do facilitate a caregiver support group that runs monthly at St. Mary's Parish Center. And I think
Days of the week?
it runs the third Wednesday of every month.
Okay.
So it's a
there's a
monthly group.
caregiver support group, third Wednesday every month
Yep.
at St. Mary's.
St. Mary's. And then there are lots of other support groups that aren't necessarily in Scituate, but they may fit time-wise that are better. So the Senior Center and myself, we try to keep a pretty updated list of all the support groups that are out there for families and for individuals. The other agency I work with a lot is Interface Referral Service, and they are a free mental health referral service thanks to the work of Rep. Cantwell, who brought this service to Scituate. So they're a service that I use a lot. And basically what they do is they do all the legwork for somebody who's looking for a counselor. So they'll do a brief intake with a person. They will make sure they have their insurance. They know how far they can go. They'll know if they prefer to meet with a man or a woman. They get all those details, and then they'll call around, see who's accepting people, make sure they take their insurance, and try to facilitate that match. So they've been a great resource for folks in town.
So, what you mentioned insurance. Is that something that you need people to have?
No, to
Yeah,
see me.
I
No,
didn't think so.
No.
Right. So,
yes.
so Laura does not need someone with a medical ID card or Tufts Harvard
Correct.
Pilgrim Health insurance. This is supported by the town.
The town. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Completely free. Yep.
Are there other resources that you refer them to that you wanted to talk about? Any available information?
Yeah. So I think a lot of times when I go meet with somebody, a lot of what we do is, this is Jenny Gerbis, the outreach coordinator, and myself. When we meet with somebody for the first time, we talk about the benefits of advanced planning, and I'm not just talking about identifying a healthcare proxy, power of attorney, all those really important things, but we also talk a lot about emergency preparedness, which is a really important component for our town in particular, and especially for seniors who are living alone. So we have a lot of resources at the Senior Center around emergency preparedness. We have a call list for folks who would prefer to get in touch with one of us before a storm. So those are resources that we can offer.
That was the impetus really for the role, if I'm not mistaken, for the position,
Correct.
right?
Yep,
Since
that's right.
And that's really, you guys are making phone calls to people, right?
Right.
Correct.
To say,
Yep.
what do you think?
This is what's going on.
Yeah.
What's
Reminders,
the
yep.
plan?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Are they prepared, or do they
Right.
have a need that we can now fill or
Right.
help them with,
Right.
or even just a ride?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's right. Yep. So emergency preparedness is a big piece of it. Another resource that we tap into a lot is South Shore Peer Recovery. This is a vibrant recovery community center for people of all ages who have been impacted by addiction. Their office is based right in Cole Parkway down in the harbor. They've really grown a lot. They offer a ton of programs and services, and so we've really been able to refer a lot of people to them as well.
the collaboration with the fire department has been a very nice
Yep.
initiative.
Right, so we have a fire inspection program where the fire department, senior center, and myself will go out to test, the firefighters will go test the fire alarms, and we will just do, a brief, here's what we do, here's our newsletter, and, do you have any resources that
So that has been one form of outreach too, and just in terms of making people more aware of the senior center or Laura's role or Jenny, and just putting a face with a name sometimes.
But how does that get initiated? Like, how does someone get a fire safety inspection?
So they can call the senior center, they can call me, they can call the fire department. We all kind of keep our running lists going.
But they pick up the phone, have to initiate. Yes?
Yes, or, for the folks that I work with, I have those folks on our list to make sure that if they're open to it,
Okay.
we'll go to their house.
I'm assuming you're seeing, along those lines, a lot of old homes who don't have the smoke detectors, the carbon monoxide
Right.
sensors, the fire alarms, and those things need to, up to code, they need to be in
Right.
place now.
Yep, and the smokes and COs have been free because of a local charity that has supported the fire department with
That was this
purchasing
year,
those.
and last year
Yeah.
was the Red Cross.
Last year was the Red Cross. Yep. And then we're also doing a lot with the Scituate Hoarding Response Team. That's over the past 3 years, we've worked really hard to get that up and running. Primarily, we're doing education and support groups, which are funded through Mass Housing and the Council on Aging as well. And so what we're able to do is offer clutter reduction support groups, and we offer some groups in the spring and some groups in the fall. Those are free of charge. There is a book that gets purchased that we ask people to have when they want to participate in that group. But we've had a really great turnout for that, and I think that's helped a lot of people. That's open to everybody in the South Shore community, so it's not just folks from Scituate.
Again, someone who self-identifies, or a referral from a neighbor who says, I don't think it's safe next door, or how do those people come?
So we
percolate to
do
the surface?
we do a lot of advertising for those groups, but very often it's self-refer, people who are ready to participate in a support group and
Okay.
who want to participate in a support group.
Okay.
We do offer it to folks who have been working with the health department, and some of them may participate and some of them choose not to.
Is there a follow-up to see if they've started to declutter? Maybe that's not logistically easy to do, but
Yeah,
just curious.
so a lot of the folks who participate in the group are not from Scituate.
Okay.
But I can say that the number of people who have signed up to do the groups a second and third time are pretty substantial. So many of the people who came to the first group are still in groups now. So it's an ongoing process. It takes a long time. But I think it sounds like they're all actively
Sometimes it takes a
working.
long time to accept that
Right.
my living environment isn't safe.
Right, and that's a whole other process
Yeah.
that usually happens before a support group
Yeah.
is helpful. Right.
So do you think you could even say at this point, have you found that there is a high critical need among our population that you're helping in sort of a priority way, or maybe
even-
there's some unmet needs that we're not
Are you
really-
busier now than you were a year ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So definitely, but I think it really varies from person to person. Everybody's situation is so different. I will say, as JD knows, he's heard, and both of you have heard me talk about this in the past, but housing, affordable housing, is one of the biggest challenges that comes to me. It's almost always a part of what somebody brings to the table when I meet with them.
Not
Peripheral.
either wanting to stay where they are and not being able to afford it, or not being able to
Needing housing.
needing housing.
Needing
Yeah,
housing.
or all of the above.
Okay.
All of the above. And I think, in particular with the over 60 population, it's folks who really need the assisted living help, but can't afford an assisted living facility. And so we try to maximize the services we can get, the home care services, but sometimes, it's just not as good as being able to be in an assisted living environment. But that just unfortunately doesn't exist.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's hard.
Right? Does not exist here.
So,
But you have had success.
yes. Yep. Yeah, and we've been able to work a lot with Greater Boston Legal Services. They've been a tremendous resource for us, particularly
To do what?
Particularly to help when somebody is struggling with eviction or homelessness.
Okay.
Those are big things that they've been really involved in and really helpful. Again, free services. So if we can get them in, there's no charge to the individual.
Again, only Scituate?
So Greater Boston Legal Services serves a whole.
I was gonna say, yeah.
But yes, because I'm in this role, I'm able to establish relationships with the attorneys, and it can help a little bit because I can call them directly,
Yep.
as opposed to having to go through the intake process
Okay.
formally.
Okay. Now, and does someone need to give you permission to make that call?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So permission for everything I do.
So someone,
Yes.
so the individual has got to say, yeah, it's okay, I'd appreciate it if you could call Boston Legal Services. for
Yes, yeah. And it's a big decision. I mean, I think, that's taking it to a different
Yeah, it
level
is.
when you decide you need to
It is.
seek the help of an attorney. So we do sit down and we talk about it and sort of I give that individual time to make a decision about how they want to pursue it. So,
me. Yeah.
So where do you think you've made the most strides or been able to have the most effects in starting your role, which is now 3.5 years ago?
yeah. I think one of the unique things about Scituate is that there are so many people in this town who do so many great things, and there are so many small organizations that have big impacts. And so one of the things that I've enjoyed the most about this job is being able to work with all those different groups. And one of the things I've tried to do is try to bring them all together so that we can all talk about who needs what and what would be most helpful for each group. So for example, if the food pantry has a need, there might be another organization that can help fill
Yeah.
that need.
Yeah, right.
So kind of bringing all these groups together with all the wonderful work that they do and trying to come up with the most efficient and effective way to help residents in Scituate. So,
Okay.
yeah.
You're right. I've been to those meetings. And you're right, there are, but yeah, we probably could do a better job still of communicating with each other, so.
Yes, yeah. And I think there's more to come. We're hoping to continue that group and to continue to grow it.
Yep,
So,
yep.
yeah. But I've been honored to be in this role. I think there are wonderful people in this town. I enjoy what I do. I'm very lucky that I get to, be with people along on their journeys, and it's a unique opportunity. It's a unique experience, and it's been very rewarding and very enjoyable.
Is there anything you would encourage, our community, our population to recognize, to maybe come in and see you about, or maybe take part in more often, the caregiver support group, where there are needs that maybe aren't being met, but that we could meet if we knew? But our caregiver support group, for instance, is a good place to start
Right.
with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that caregiver support group has been around for more than 10 years. And so we have a really strong membership. It's a small group, but it's a really nice group of people. So, yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about that some more. But
We can always reach you at the Council on Aging?
so my office is at the Scituate Community Harbor Building.
Yep.
I'm on the very left-hand
But
side.
in terms of an email or a phone?
So my office is set up there.
Okay. Yeah, I know.
So if somebody called the Council on Aging, they would direct them
Yes.
to my, yes. Yeah.
Part of that has been a function of not having the confidential space for
Right.
Laura.
Oh, no,
and while
absolutely.
She is
Yeah.
well situated where she is, and
Yeah.
it's a good location for people
Right.
to come and see her.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and be able to have
Yeah.
private conversation.
When we have needed her, we do have her take part in some of our programs, which has really been helpful. We have our Aging Mastery program, and there are segments there that Laura's skill set is very relevant for, and so she has provided those presentations for us, and our Live Your Life Well, which was geared towards connecting people with various things that they might not realize they wanted to continue doing, just to keep them a little bit more happy and connected with friends, family, community, and so that was nice.
Yeah.
So we do try to bring her in for those things, so people again get to know her and see her face and know that she works with us.
And all those programs are just so critical for keeping people well and
Well,
healthy,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they play such a vital role
Yeah.
for the community.
So under the umbrella of at-risk, is there a percentage, a majority of one or two categories that you see?
Meaning,
Housing versus protective services versus,
it's all mixed together.
Yeah.
So it's typically if somebody has a housing problem, there's also poverty,
something else following it, or
mental health issues, maybe substance misuse,
Okay.
other types of things. So not always. I mean, I think that there are folks who come in with one specific issue or concern. Very often, though, Jenny Gerbis will be
Yep.
the person, the point person in those cases. So
Yep.
the way Jenny and I have worked together is if it seems to be that there are multiple issues at play, then she will send it along
To
to
you.
me. Yeah. Yeah.
Often it will start at the senior center, and we are very willing to take those calls and help, but a lot of times know that we do want to refer them to Laura and give them a chance to have that appointment with her too. Okay?
is there a glaring need in terms of what other resources you could use?
I mean, I wish we can take a magic wand and address the housing issue.
Yep.
That goes beyond Scituate, though. No, I mean, I think it is about taking all of these resources that we have and communicating as effectively as possible, because there are so many groups.
We do have them.
Yep, we have a lot of resources. We're very lucky in that way.
Social Elder Services has been very responsive and very good for some situations that you've encountered.
Yep.
Great. Well, we appreciate your work.
Thank you.
I know you have to get out of here, so we should let you go.
Thanks.
Right.
Thanks.
All right, thank you, Laura.
Well, so it was nice to have Laura here. I know you've got some current issues to maybe highlight for some people.
Yes, a couple of events coming up that we would absolutely love to have participation or attendance for Wednesday, May 17th at 10:30 at the Senior Center. In fact, we are having the baseball historian author Herb Crehan, who is well known, has just published a book on the 1967 Red Sox team and season, and will be presenting his topic, both visually with slideshows and as well for discussion. We'll have his books. We'll be signing his books for us. We're really happy to have him coming, and it is what anniversary? It's the anniversary of
Would it be the 50th?
the 67 pennant run anyway,
Yeah,
pennant
67.
win,
Yeah.
if not the actual World Series. So it should be great, and we hope anyone is welcome. It is at the Senior Center because we have the technology at this point there to support the presentation that he's doing, and we'll have refreshments and a reception afterwards. So we hope that you will
Fenway
you will
Franks?
come. Possibly, yes, actually.
Good.
So please call maybe to let us know that you'd be coming, just so we have enough seats in the house, but we would really love to have that. We are doing more cultural trips, and they really have been an asset for us and for the people who have taken part in them, because it is a great way to get somewhere. They went to Blythewald in Rhode Island recently to see the gardens there, which were beautiful. And there is, I will say, a trip to the Museum of Fine Arts, which is filled, but that is what happens. We continue to plan them, and people are taking advantage of them, so we will do more. We have a trip to Wegmans, in fact, up in Westwood happening also on Wednesday the 17th in the afternoon. They can. It's fun.
I'm a Wegmans
I've
fan.
spent some time in that
Yeah.
store. As well, I think Tower Hill Botanical Gardens, that is the next trip coming up on June 7th. So that one we would still take participants for. Also something, Patrick O'Connor, our new state senator, is coming around to us. I think it is the third Thursday. I would have to check that, probably in here, to just have an hour of conversation with anyone who does want to stop by, but also in addition, he is actually coming for the men's breakfast
I was
on
gonna
June
say, right.
5th. So that's Monday, June 5th. We try to have a men's breakfast the first Monday of each month.
He's got regular office hours?
He does have regular
Yeah,
office
once-
hours.
Once a
and
month?
And I
At
believe,
the-
yes,
at-
at the senior
At the
center.
senior center, okay.
It is nice if you call, but it's not necessary. They are coming anyway, and,
But then he's coming on a men's cafe.
but then he is coming specifically to talk about
Yep.
hot issues on Beacon
Yep.
Hill, just keep us up to date on what's happening at the legislature. So that's great. He's becoming a good, a new resource for us, so we'd love people to take advantage. We do try to do our cafe talks, both to keep people informed about things or just to bring new and different things to the center, speakers willing to come to Scituate. So Tuesday, or Wednesday, I should say, May 31st, there is a presentation on hearing loss and some assistive technology, which is really something that has come up quite often for us, and we do have a wonderful resource from the Mass Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing coming. And then following that up in June with someone from the Mass EDP talking about free or reduced phones for Mass residents and just some of the other products that we may be able to get to people who are in need of those. So again, even reading our newsletter, which if you didn't get it in the mail, is available at the senior center as well as several places around town, the library, the town hall, the supermarket. So, but please just call and ask the question, and we'll be happy to provide the answer and hopefully help you out. So thank you,
Thank
JD,
you.
for joining me.
My pleasure.
Okay. So I am Linda Hayes, signing off from the Council on Aging and Senior Centers.
And I'm J.D. Miller, Chairman of the Board of the Council on Aging.